Hi, welcome to another video. In today's video, I'll be discussing about how you could set up your Upwork profile along with a method which I have actively used to create relevant portfolio projects. Now, before diving into the topic, a little bit about me. My name is Ritika Agarwal and I am a freelance data analyst who provides services in Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, and Python. I started my Upwork journey on January 2025. Until then, I have earned $1,000 and have completed 17 jobs. Now, this is my general profile view where I'm listing out all the skills and services which I provide. Now, moving over to my data visualization profile, since most of my jobs have been achieved via this profile, I have a separate data header, profile header in this case, where I am mentioning my data analyst title along with all the relevant tools and some of the tricky words, fancy words which I often try to switch up with for SEO optimization. Over here, I am mentioning in brief about what all I can do in visualization along with what all tools I would be using. Right. Now, moving onto the portfolio section, which is very important in case you are someone who doesn't have any relevant work experience. Right. I would recommend to have at least 3 to 5 portfolio projects. In my case, I'm showing 5 projects. Right. And based on that, another important thing is that each project should have a brief description about what the project is about, along with their relevant skills and deliverable tags. Now, after this part is set up, you could directly, another part which is very important to set up is definitely the skills and expertise tag, since it really helps out in SEO optimization and for Upwork to also suggest you relevant jobs in this case. Moving on to the testimonial section, in case you are someone who have worked outside of Upwork, you can definitely ask your outside clients to uh, drop a testimonial for you. For right here, you can either go to a request testimonial or write in the green plus sign right here. Right. Now, certifications, if you have any, it's really helpful if you have some professional certification instead of generic certifications. In this case, for example, mine, the data analytics by Google certificate, by Google, obviously. And employment history, if you have a good and strong employment history, definitely add that. It's really helpful when a person is checking out your profile. So it definitely adds a great boost to your profile, and it like adds the confidence for the client as well, like yeah, this person knows what he or she is doing in this case, and other relevant experiences if you have any. Now, moving on to my method which I have actively used to create relevant portfolio projects to target clients. Now, what do I mean by relevant portfolio projects? In this case, I mean having a certain portfolio project which the client actually requires. For example, if a client is looking for project management tracker in Excel, you can have a brief or a general layout of a project like that, where you can showcase it to the client, and obviously you can mention the client that you are open to customize that according to their needs. Now, how to get much better details in that case, you could either go to the most recent or the best matches. I prefer to go to the most recent tab, and from here you can look for relevant jobs based on your skills, right? But if no jobs are appearing according to what you want, you could definitely go ahead and give out a quick search. In this case, we will be using data visualization as an example, right? And after going to the data visualization, obviously you can see this is something about an automate for PowerPoint report creation, right, from Excel data. So if you go into this, you can definitely see what kind of work the client is needing. Since this is a very much detailed work, you can obviously get a much more you can obviously create a much more detailed project for the client at the end of the day in this case, right? So the client basically just wants a brief Excel report creation, right, from based on the charts and graphs and visuals from the Excel, and this needs to be put into a PowerPoint presentation, right? So it's a pretty straightforward project. You can definitely work on this and have a sample project created based off this as well, right? And this there is obviously Python and VBA for optional, but that's up to you if you want to go ahead with that. And like this, if even if you are from other kind of a field such as a graphic designer or a logo designer, obviously the requirements might be slightly different, but you could definitely try out this method and see if it works out for you. Another example we can see right here is the BI dashboard development, right? Although there is one thing which I would definitely like to suggest you is that you could try to avoid these kinds of job where they are mentioning two kinds of name, right? Like in this case, a dear German, and another is the Paul Wimp Penny, right? Wimp Penny. So these kind of projects, from at least what I understand from my experience, is that they this is obviously being posted by someone, some other freelancer or someone else, as either to figure out what kind of proposal they should send or some other things, right? So I would say like it's best to avoid these kind of projects because it's definitely like something which was sent to a freelancer by a client and they didn't even bother changing out the format, at least in this case. Other than that, yeah, this is some of the tips which I would be sharing in this video at least. And if you would be definitely like needing my services, you can contact me via Upwork or LinkedIn. I'll be linking the profile links for both of them down below in the description. Thank you and have a nice day.